Say it one more time.
Oh.
All right, here we go.
With that much chest hair, you have to be a douchebag.
Thank you. On today's episode, right?
Wait, let me count you down.
We're good. We're good. Ready?
And
clear. On today's episode of Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn with that much chest hair, you're gonna be a douchebag.
And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am again one of your hosts, Scott Jones. Joining me as always is Mr. Paul Packler. Paul, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. And Corey Pepper.
I'm floating on cloud 9.
Still floating on cloud 9.
Every week I'm floating on cloud 9.
It's just there.
It's just it. It's my stock answer.
We're going to be checking in with Corey every week to make sure he's on cloud 9.
Mm-hmm. If I'm not, get worried.
So guys, this week we got into pretty much a staple of just about any sitcom movies. It's the parents are going away and the kids get the run of the house.
Can we give the title? Can we start with the title?
Yeah. Please.
I think it gives a perspective of where things are going to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Not With My Sister You Don't.
Great title.
It says a lot of things. You can parse a lot of things from that title.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And we'll explore what the don't is as we move through. But let's get to why Elise and Steven are deciding to go away. They are going away to hang out with friends on a vacation, but not just random friends that they met on their honeymoon.
Now, as strange as that might be to you guys,
yeah, it is.
I gotta tell you, it's really strange, and yet the first thought I had was my parents met a couple on their honeymoon and remained friends with them for like 25 or 30 years.
That's
really?
So weird.
It's so weird.
That's not the weird part. The weird part for me is that the couple that Stephen and Elise are going to visit are the Davises, Ron and Suzanne,
right.
who I'm very excited to talk about soon. But they only see them ostensibly once a year on their honeymoon, or on the anniversary.
I don't have more of an understanding at the end of this half hour than I do at the beginning of this half hour.
No.
Why they go away once a year with these people.
Yeah, because they don't even say it's like their anniversary. It's just a time of year that they
we go away and compete with each other, and that's sort of kind of it.
Yeah.
It's just odd. Like, I can't imagine going on your honeymoon and striking up a friendship, taking the time to strike up a friendship with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. I mean, and it's funny that Corey, your first reaction was, oh yeah, this is happening. My first reaction hearing it was, as the show went on, I was like, this was the 60s. Was there some wife swapping going on?
Right. Does this ever happen? Is this normal? It's so weird, and yet I had to stop and think, oh, it sort of happened to my parents. Where
the wife swapping?
They became friends. Yeah, the wife swapping.
So let's say this. This is all happening in the cold open. So Steve and Elise are packing to go away for the weekend, and they're just expository dump. And the thing that made me really be weird is, so they go away every year, once a year, to see the Davises. They never see them any time for the rest of the year. It's just the once a year during their honeymoon anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing that they say is that this is the first time that they're leaving the kids alone. Now,
so
Alex
is
17. Yeah, exactly. Every year until then, they had a babysitter. So how old was this babysitter when Alex was 16?
Right. And Mallory, isn't Mallory older than Alex? Isn't she like a year
No,
older?
she's younger.
She's younger?
He's younger. He's a year older.
Okay,
probably-
okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
She's probably 15 or 16, and then Jennifer is 9. But it's like, so what the hell? Every year until then, they had a babysitter. Now it's like, why do they even care? Or why did they care so much before? It's just really odd that this is the first time that these kids are alone in their lives without their parents. That's weird.
The only thing I can think of is instead of having a babysitter, maybe it was like a grandmother or aunt or somebody, like a relative that stayed with them. That's the only thing I could think of. But still, if Alex is 16, 17, that's usually when you're considered responsible enough to stay at home.
That's when you're babysitting,
That
right?
is when you're babysitting, exactly.
The more interesting episode would have been the year before, when they had a babysitter for Alex and Mallory.
Oh, he would have been all over that babysitter.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Either a babysitter or a grandmother or an aunt or an uncle. Somebody would have been. That's the more interesting episode. I think they missed the boat.
Yeah. The episode should have been. It's like this girl that Alex likes that's coming over to babysit for him.
Oh, it would be perfect, because then you're playing with, like, status of gender roles. Like, she's in charge of him, even though they're the same age. And, you know,
But he's the intellectual superior, I'm sure.
oh, it'd be amazing. I'm going to write that right now. I'm going to write that.
Pitch this, yeah.
Because usually when you have that babysitter episode is usually the 12-year-old boy falling in love with the 19-year-old girl and having a crush on her.
Right,
But it would have been really funny if Alex was 16 and the girl was 21, and they were really intellectual equals with each other.
Ooh.
And Alex had a crush on her. Or maybe she had a crush on Alex, and Alex didn't have a crush on her.
Yeah,
That would have been creepy and pedophilic.
Yeah, but that's like why she took the babysitting job, is because she got to babysit for Alex, and despite the fact that they're the same age, she's still attracted to him.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So then, can we jump to the credits? Because we didn't talk about this last time. Obviously, we talked about the song is sung by two different artists. Then
They sound so much like Denise Williams and Johnny Mathis.
It's so weird.
Yeah. Why did they feel the need to record it? I mean, I know
maybe they couldn't pay the fee for Johnny Mathis and Denise Williams, but it's so weird that they re-recorded it with big stars sounding exactly alike the
10 episodes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It'd be I can imagine the boardroom where they're just like, wait a second, guys. Just got off the phone. We got Johnny Mathis to do this now.
Oh, we don't need Johnny Mathis. We have some high-pitched guy already who's a light-skinned black man.
Did you hear me? It's Johnny Mathis. He wants to do it.
I don't want to pay that money.
No. But the other interesting thing is that 82, it's all montages. So the series throughout it, the opening credits change over time. But what we first get is just pure world building. So they're two hippies. They fall in love at a protest, and then what I really like is the wedding that they have is all. They're out in the field or something. There's trees. They're wearing beads, and then they have this, maybe some sort of ordained friend. And it's just like, back then in '82, that must have been insane. People were watching those credits and be like, "Look at the freaks." Nowadays, if you don't have a ukulele player singing "God Only Knows," then you're not having a wedding. Like if you're not at a lake.
Up by a lake.
It ain't a wedding.
Yeah. But it's just really interesting. And then the kids are all shown in these little clips of Alex likes to read the paper, Mallory likes clothes, and then Jennifer with books.
Yeah, that little tomboy with books sparkling in her eye. Yeah. And I read some of the information is the picture of Alex as a baby. Apparently, in the backstory, Alex was born in the Peace Corps in Africa. So, in a way, Alex is an African American.
Yeah. Wow.
That would freak Alex B. Keaton out.
Exactly.
He could never be president. It'll be really interesting.
Nope. So Elise and Steven go away, and don't worry, we'll come back to them. But the kids decide to throw a party. Let's talk about this party.
Well, can we stop and talk about the plot idea? Have we not seen this 100 times before?
Of course.
In 1982, we had seen this 100 times before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I think it
better.
was on Leave It to Beaver they had this one.
Oh, absolutely.
And they had a bigger rager party than this fucking party.
This
Oh,
really was
God.
the calmest party I've ever seen.
You know,
Holy shit.
you know, last week, guys, I thought we might have been reaching a little bit with the AIDS panic and, you know, how they didn't want to show affection and stuff. But no, I think we were right on the money. I think we
Oh
were
my
dead on the
God.
money. No one is doing anything at this party.
Yeah, they're about to play Pinochle, but first they have to break out the body condoms.
Oh my God. No, don't even say condoms. It's not needed. Like,
No, it wasn't
I think-
needed.
I think like the two kids that were supposed to be making out on the couch, it was like a kiss and then they just hug each other and that's
That
it.
was it. And it was a really chaste, like, closed mouth.
Yes!
It was very strange. And then they just stopped.
Yeah, that was it. And the kids are dancing to what is elevator music essentially. Like,
Let me say this. Let me do a parenthetical here because
Okay,
this is something
go.
that I want to talk about. On Amazon, the people who buy the series of Family Ties are freaking the fuck out because apparently, I mean, there's so many one-star reviews and like tears written, and so they didn't get the rights to a lot of the music.
Right.
So,
I figured,
in the pilot episode, there's that scene where Alex turns off the stereo and he's like, "Hey, I was listening to that. There was no music." I
Right.
feel like he might have been listening to Bob Dylan.
Okay.
You know, so they
He
don't
says a
put
folk singer.
any music in any of these that aren't like really part and parcel with the story. Like we'll go forward when he meets Ellen and the whole Billy Vera and the Beaters song. That'll probably be there, but a lot of time, and especially the next episode with the jukebox that plays a big
Of
part.
course.
Yes. Yes.
So throughout this series, as we watch, it's going to be so different than it probably aired.
Absolutely. But my question was, like, it was the non-copyrighted music that they picked was this weird slow jazz elevator sounding music.
That's what it sounded to me like. Elevator music was what I wrote down.
It was like dun 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 dun.
Like a bossa nova in the background.
You couldn't find like a non-copyrighted, like, you know, slightly rockier song, something. Yeah.
It's 1982.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a question, because I think this only happens in TV shows and movies, especially in the 80s, where there is a space at a house party that's reserved for dancing, and kids are all dancing around. I don't think that ever happened. It just felt like kids just hung out. Like, there wasn't like a section reserved for people dancing.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I mean, people might have been dancing in the area upstage of the couch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It
And
just-
so what's going on at the party is they're all hanging out, and then Alex is there, and then there's this weird physical Lotsie that happens where everyone punches him in the arm and thanking him for the party, and then we meet, what is his name? Eric Morrison.
Eric Morrison. Oh,
This
man, do
fucking
we
guy.
meet this asshole. Like, the first cut to Eric Morrison, you know bad things are going to happen. And Mallory, once again, looking like a sister wife.
Well, I wrote down, she looked like she walked off the set of Little House on the Prairie.
Yes!
I don't quite understand. They did her hair up. She does. She looks like a sister wife.
She does!
I said she was cast in her high school production of Children's Hour, and then came to the party.
But what's so strange is Eric finds this hot.
Yeah.
Yes! He's
And
into
there's
her.
no denying Justine Bateman is cute, but the way they did her hair and the way they dressed her is so unattractive and so asexual. How do you find her hot?
Yeah.
And later on, she's the one that gets into fashion. Like, she's totally about fashion. There is nothing fashionable about her at all in this.
Yeah. And so she's like, "Oh, Eric Morrison's at the party. Do you know him?" And it seems pretty apparent that, like, he's an upperclassman to Alex. So Alex is probably like a junior.
Junior,
Eric
and
Morrison,
he's like a senior.
Eric Morrison is 30. Eric
he's
Morrison
like a
looks 30.
40-year-old senior. And so she's like, "Set me up with Eric Morrison," and he's like, all right. And so Eric Morrison comes over, and they meet cute, and she's like, "Come on, do you want to have some soda?" They have soda at this motherfucking party. Like, this is
Because it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Because Mom and Dad are out of town, we have soda instead of just having water and juice.
Yeah.
It has bubbles in it, Corey. It has bubbles in it.
And you know Stephen and Elise have some good pot around the house somewhere.
Somewhere, but no one's looking for it.
Nope.
Yeah.
But I think we need to paint a picture of Eric Morrison, of how he is dressed.
Yeah.
Or should I say his lack of dress.
He's wearing a shirt that's unbuttoned like an Israeli.
Like those pictures of the Bin Ladens when they came to visit America in the 70s.
He's like a wild, crazy guy from...
That is absolutely correct. That is the perfect analogy. I would say his chest hair meets Mallory before he meets Mallory.
Because it's springing out of his chest.
There really is no purpose for him to have a shirt on at all with the way he is dressed.
No.
Yeah. So, Eric Morrison...
And let me say this. He is the worst goddamn actor. Like, I look back and this guy was all over the 70s. He was all over every TV show. But, like, then you get to see, amazingly, how good of an actress Justine Bateman is. Because, you know, and I don't know who said this. It might have been just me coming up with this shit during showering this morning. But it's like, you know... Anyone can act on a line. It's the reaction that you get paid for. It's the reaction on film that shows your talent. And so when he's saying some bullshit, it cuts to her, and she is just shining. She's just like,
she's
glowing with like
beaming. She's in love.
Yeah, and it's just really, you know, I'm not looking forward to when she gets dumbed down. I really think that she's a good actress.
She is. She's a really good actress, and it's like you said, like, she looks I mean, and he's delivering these lines so one-dimensionally, and, like, no girl would ever be into this guy at all.
You can see right through whatever he's up to.
Yes. Yeah. He's a total douchebag right from the start. Yeah.
All right. So that's the party. So they're like, you know, oh, we're going to go out, and he wants to go out with her after, you know, they're going to go drive around in his new car, and he says to Alex, when my car goes, woo, then you know I'm on the prowl. I don't know what that means.
But I think this is a good chance, Paul. You had a theory about this. I think this is a good opportunity to talk about.
Yeah. So based on this party, based on the because you hear it later, like Alex is worried about, he finds out that Mallory goes off with him. He hears the wolf howl. There's the party. There's, as we soon will learn, Jay Tarsis appears in this. This, what is that shitty movie that came out that's the precursor to Alien, but not?
Prometheus.
This is the Prometheus to Teen Wolf. Because
it's the precursor to Michael J. Fox starring in Teen Wolf.
Remember that party at the beginning? It's like the coolest party ever, where the naked people are writhing around in the whipped cream, and Styles is like putting Jell-O in girls' shirts.
People are getting locked up in the closet. Yeah, it's a fucking amazing party. I think somewhere there was like a writing intern on this episode, and it's like, I can make this so much better. Lightning bolt hit him. Okay, so the party's going on. Meanwhile, Elise
up at the lake.
Up at the lake.
I just want to go back to the party for one second before we go to the lake.
It's hard to let it go because it's so crazy.
I know. I dished Mallory's outfit. I have to mention Michael J. Fox's Argyle sweater.
Oh.
You know the way they dressed him in those sort of the Oxford button-down shirts and the Argyle sweater and khaki pants? I owned that outfit in 1982 and wore it to audition.
Oh my God!
Oh, I'm sure. I just didn't wear mine this morning. I would have.
And I thought of you, Paul, and I thought, I've seen Paul in that outfit recently.
No, remember during Snow White, I wore nothing but white button-down shirts and ties.
Yes. Absolutely.
It's true.
It's your Michael J. Fox collection.
Yeah.
And sadly, I think that same outfit is the dress code for Rick Santorum these days with the sweater vest.
Okay, you can go to the lake now because we.
I think we painted the picture of this party.
Yes.
Okay, so back up at the lake. and this was like their honeymoon destination, right? This is where they went for their honeymoon.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
and they've gone back every year. So, but this wasn't their anniversary, was it?
Nope, didn't mention that it was their anniversary. No. But there's a lot of fucking stuff to do at this resort. Like,
Well, there better be, because the cabin itself is about 8 inches wide.
yeah, I was like, yeah, yeah, and it's a shitty cabin too for a honeymoon. Like, it's not. It was just weird to me. Like, I just kept thinking, like, where are they doing all these events? Like, it didn't look like the image that they painted was that this is a nice resort. And it looked just like a cabin in the woods in the middle of nowhere.
Absolutely, it looked like Ted. Who was the Unabomber?
The Unabomber's cabin.
He was the Unabomber. They're going to find a
couple
manifesto
blocks down.
somewhere.
Yeah. No, it was interesting because when in the cold open they say you have the phone number for the hotel. This is so not a hotel.
It's not a hotel. There's nothing about it that's a hotel.
And yeah, so they're in this cabin and like, they're waiting for the Davises to arrive, and Elise and Steven are like, "Oh, I'm so happy that, we're here." And she's like, "Steven, are you gonna be a dick? Are you gonna compete with Ron?" He's like, "No, everything's fine." And then he picks the room that's bigger and all this shit. And then
all those seedlings are laid right off the bat, but she's still not getting angry at him. I can't believe how much tolerance she has for his bullshit at this point.
Yes.
Well, I think that's to show a juxtaposition because you kind of see what a great couple Elise and Steven are compared to the other couple, because he's making her shine as or we don't see any of the great stuff. We hear that, she makes him shine as cleats, she makes him do this and this and this, and none of that is what Steven does to Elise.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they show up. They're at the door. The Davises are at the door, and we are introduced to the man of the hour, Jay Tarsis.
Jay
Tarsis.
Okay.
He's a fucking hero. He is such a good actor, and then he's a genius writer. He played Coach Bobby Finstock in the movie Teen Wolf. And let me just say this thing to wit. Michael J. Fox is having trouble becoming a Teen Wolf. And Coach Finstock says, "Listen, Scotty, there's 3 rules I live by. 1, never get less than 12 hours sleep. 2, never play cards with a guy who has the same first name as a city. And 3, never get involved with a woman with a tattoo of a dagger on her body. Now you stick to all that, and everything else is cream cheese." Holy shit.
This is how Paul lives his life.
Now, the shows that Jay Tarsis created as a creator and a showrunner for television?
Yeah.
No.
2 of them were really classic shows. One, a classic sitcom that only lasted, I think, 1 season. It was called Buffalo Bill, and it starred Dabney Coleman.
Oh, wow.
And it was a really good show. But got terrible ratings, was one of those very well received and got terrible ratings. It got canceled after 1 year. Okay. And then he got another shot, and the shot that he took was during that period of time where television was experimenting with what they now don't like to call dramedies.
Oh, with very little of that.
He created a half hour that had the best tone that a dramedy ever had. It was called The Days and Nights of Molly Dodd.
Interesting.
And I'm trying to remember the actress who starred in it. I can't remember her name. It was so good, this show. And Jay Tarsis really had a voice and a real concept. What a talented man. And then when I looked back and I wanted to see where Gary David Goldberg and Jay Tarsis met. Because you had to figure they met somewhere.
Bob Newhart.
They were both on the writing staff of Bob Newhart. Right. But when I went back to the Bob Newhart show at that time, the writing staff was unbelievable. It was David Davis and Lorenzo Music. It was Jay Tarsis, Gary David Goldberg, David Lloyd, who went on to do Cheers and Frasier.
Wow.
Hugh Wilson, who created WKRP in Cincinnati.
Holy shit.
And Lloyd Garver, who just happened to have written this episode of Family Ties.
Wow.
So you see all the intersections of people where they met years before and still continued to work with each other. I mean, the Jay Tarsis, Michael J. Fox Gary David Goldberg connection continued to go on.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of these people, they all work together.
And then let me do a quick parenthetical. When you said Lorenzo Music, he's famous for having been the voice of Garfield on the cartoon.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And the voice of Carlton the Doorman on The Rhoda Show, which was the spinoff of Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh, wow.
You never saw the doorman, and she had a relationship with her, not a relationship, I mean, she had a friendship with her doorman, and you only heard his voice, and it was Garfield or Lorenzo Music, who just also happened to have been the creator of Rhoda, but he had such a specific voice.
Wow. God.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then one more thing about Jay Tarsis. As a writer, he wrote the story and script. I think there were multiple people for the Great Muppet Caper and the Muppet Manhattan.
Yeah, 2 Muppet movies.
Yeah, and two of the arguable.
And you know his daughter, Jay Tarsis's daughter, still is a major sitcom executive, I think, for ABC. She ran ABC for a while. Her name is Jamie Tarsis.
Wow.
And she ran ABC Entertainment for a very long time, and then left as most executives do after they make crap loads of money to form their own production company. And she's had a really successful production company in developing sitcoms.
That's amazing. Honestly, I'm just putting this out there right now. Of all the people that, once this show takes off, I really want to interview Jay Tarsis. Jay Tarsis, if anyone knows you, if you're listening, please
He's speaking
come on
to you,
show.
Jay Tarsis. Yeah.
I love your work. You are a genius, and I love you.
He's not that old. He's 79.
Right.
So he's around.
Yeah. And for such just a small supporting character, he really brings it. Like you're buying into exactly what he's doing. He's not upstaging anything, but there's so many great choices that he's doing with just this small little role from the moment he enters the room. But let's get back to the cabin really quick. Did we keep track of how many sport and activities are happening at this place?
He was holding both tennis racket and badminton racket in the house before they even went there.
Yeah. So there's that.
And then this is the B story, so we're not seeing any of the games that they play. We're not seeing any of the events that they do. Later in the show, they come back with a tournament trophy for dance and stuff like that. But, I mean, they're there for about 36 hours, all told, and they have, hundreds of points between them on these teams. How many games are they playing?
It's like an Olympic event that they're doing.
It's all the Olympics. They are involved in all the Olympics.
It's crewing at 2. We go crewing at 2, and then at 3 it's shot put and discus. Even calm down, okay?
Yeah, and they don't. I'm sorry.
I was like, and just to make it stronger, they had to have all that scene take place back at the cabin. I guess this was a budget issue, but wouldn't it have been more interesting to have it during the dance competition? There would be so much more room for some physical comedy, seeing the dancing. It could have all that kind of take place.
Mm-hmm.
They started to, in this scene, allude to the fact that Stephen came there to compete with Ron and play sports, but it looks like Elise came there to get laid. There's a couple of moments where she seems to be leaning, like before Ron and Suzanne arrive, almost like, let's go in the other room and do it. And then Ron and Suzanne arrive, but she's hot to trot. She's glad to be away from
I don't think she wanted either one of them there. From
Ron
the
or Suzanne.
No, I think she just wanted a private vacation. Yeah.
I would say all vacation sex is probably some of the best sex you're going to get as a married person. Other than
yeah.
Because it changes everything. There's no children usually around.
You're
you
away.
Can do it in the middle of the day. You can drink at 2 o'clock without guilt. Not that I don't.
There's a reason you're on Cloud 9.
It's free.
So the competition is going on between them, and then we go back to the party.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The party is over. The house is perfectly clean.
It's cleaner than it was before.
Before the party.
Yeah, it's true. And it seems like it's still fairly early at night. Like, it looks like this party ended at at 8:30.
It's about 8:30. Mm-hmm.
this.
And Mallory's gone, as we alluded earlier. You know, she's gone with Eric in his car, and Alex is flipping out, and Jennifer is trying to console him. You know, once again, Jennifer just being a strange, like, she's making existentialist lines of dialogue in this episode, just weird.
Is Jennifer the one? I have this written down, of course, and don't really know what it means. But is Jennifer the one that was answered the question? Did Alex say to Jennifer, "Where's Mallory?" And the answer was, "She's insulating the attic."
Again,
no. That's actually when during the party, Steven calls to see how the kids are doing.
That's it. Where's Jennifer?
Yeah.
And Alex says she's insulating the attic.
Yes. Another Gary David Goldberg lie, where it's
That
like the
was his
lie
lie.
is so
Exactly.
insane. Yeah.
He does not like to keep things simple.
Alex seems to
Nothing simple.
indicate that he thinks this is a wild party, like it's Caligula, like there's an orgy.
He refers to it as an orgy.
An orgy.
He tells Jennifer it's an orgy.
It's an orgy.
He says that while rubbing her stomach in the most uncomfortable, like, Michael J. Fox, like, so, okay, just to rewind very quickly. So Jennifer, after said party, is like, "You shouldn't have let me eat all that peanut butter popcorn." And he's like, "Oh," and she's like, "Oh, my tummy hurts. Mom rubs my tummy." And he comes up and rubs her tummy, and he's like doing like an up and down tummy rub. I'm doing it. If you're on YouTube watching this is what he's doing. She's like, no, circles. He's like, "I'll do circles all night." And then she's like, no, counterclockwise. And shit is getting real.
A
and
very creepy brother-sister interaction.
To the point that you could tell Michael J. Fox felt uncomfortable. You can see, like, his face is getting splotchy. He's like, "Can we just cut the commercial?"
He's dripping sweat. Yeah.
Then Jennifer wants to go to sleep, right? She wants to nap now. Now it's time for her to go to bed. And what does she ask Alex to do for her?
Oh, Jesus.
Any torch song will do.
Yeah. And he
just sing me a torch song, Alex.
And he
Corey,
sings.
could you sing me a torch song?
Yeah. Together.
It would be even creepier than when Michael J. Fox sang one to teeny others.
So he tunelessly sings, what is the song? One for my baby?
One for my baby. One for the road. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One more for the road.
And then she falls asleep like she's narcoleptic. You know, she nods off.
She's right out.
Mm-hmm. She's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Mallory returns.
Looking like she just came back from a convent.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yet he's still accusing her of being a slut, even though she looks like a nun.
Yeah.
No indication that anything happened.
He's like, "What happened?" And she's like, "I'm not going to tell you. I don't have to tell you." And she's like, "Yes, you do." And he starts doing like a very like parental role-playing thing that's supposed to be funny because he's a kid, and it's just like, eh. And then she goes off to bed, not telling him. He does a thing about double standards. So we're dealing with double standards of like, if he were a guy, it would be fine, and then all this blah, 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 blah. It's all reductive and regressive gender crap. And
a lot of the show has to do with. I think it was after the third episode that it really occurred to me that so much of the show is about like Alan Alda, not his persona on MASH, but the public persona that Alan Alda had at the time. That to me is like what they modeled Steven after. You know, somebody who's really pro-feminism, pro-choice, women should work and be out of the home. And I think that was the Gary David Goldberg political view that he was coming from at that time.
Yeah, Steven's very much like Alan Alda.
Very much like the persona, or like Phil Donahue.
And they make references to both of those people.
Yes, they have.
Yeah,
that's what I thought was very funny. Those were definite, like hot button topics that he wanted to mention. Gary David Goldberg wanted to mention both of those names because it conjured up images at that time of really bright, witty, articulate men who loved women in a non-sexual way, of course.
Right.
Never objectifying them.
Right. Plotted and yeah.
Unlike, us, who we love women, but we objectify them, which is
Of course. Yeah, of course.
just got to find the right
Speak for
woman.
yourselves. I'm single, and so therefore I am like
You are
Alan
told
Alda.
Alan Alda all the way.
No,
That's what you are.
I'm fourth
you're
wave
young
Alan Alda.
We are just Jay Tarsus in this episode.
Yeah. And so we go back to the beach,
Yep.
back to the lake.
Mhm.
And the wives have had it. They're over this, the whole competition thing. And basically Suzanne lays the line and basically, look, I'm going to bed. You better be in there with me.
Mm-hmm.
And he
And
wasn't
then they
going to
start
go
playing
right
Monopoly.
away.
No, he wanted to play Monopoly with Steven.
Right. But Elise had to sort of drag him into the other room, like, if you know what's best for you.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Still,
before he
then
goes,
He goes and has what is clearly a premature ejaculation. Because the guy was back out in the
Yeah.
room again in 40 seconds.
and he wanted a point for that. That
Yes.
doesn't deserve a point.
With his cigarette holder and his smoking jacket on.
Yes. And wanted a
I
point.
bet you $100 Jay Tarsus took that cigarette holder and that smoking jacket back from the set. He's like, I'm
Oh.
keeping this shit.
I'm keeping it. That's me.
Mine. I've earned this.
But that's the punchline to him being like, I bet I can make up with my wife faster than you can make up with yours, because no woman, every woman loves having sex as quickly as possible.
Quickly as possible. Yes.
Yeah,
it always
that
benefits
fast.
the woman to do that.
Yeah.
So we'll have sex really fast so I could go out and get yet another point in the competition between
Yeah.
Ron and Steven.
Right. And so basically, and then so that leaves Elise and Steven to kind of have a little talk, and Steven apologizes. I'm sorry I got so carried away. You
Well, I'm
know.
glad Elise finally had the nads to say to Steven,
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to do this anymore if
Yeah.
you continue to act like this with Ron. Because it must have been the most unpleasant. And I think of every year that they've been doing this, that's terribly unpleasant to compete with each other the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Mhm.
And the other thing that's weird to me, and maybe it's a problem with the writing or something, but that Steven and Ron seem to enjoy each other's company. Like, there's no anger coming. There's no, like, their competition is one of, like, good rivalry. Like, throughout the episode, they're annoying, but at no point are they like, this son of a bitch, I'm gonna, they're always like, oh, I'm gonna win, I don't know, it just seems like there could have been a bigger progression of how much they don't enjoy each other when they get
I think they pared the writing
Yeah.
down so much to go from moment to moment to moment that there was no exploration of the fact that there had to have been more to the relationship than what we're actually seeing for them to go back year after year after year. It wouldn't make any sense any other way. So I think
Right.
you're right, Paul. I think it was a problem with the writing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, just kind of the they can't keep things really simple, you know, like it
or
would've been
they
so
keep
much-
it too simple when they shouldn't.
Right. So we go back home. The kids, it's the next day, and Mallory finally comes down, and Alex and them finally have this discussion.
Yeah. Well, Alex is cleaning. He's vacuuming because
He's cleaning up the perfectly
A clean house,
home.
a perfectly clean
Right.
house. Right.
Yeah.
Because he cleaned right up after the party, or had to. And
Now,
so,
this was the first scene that I want to ask you guys.
Mhm.
Do you notice that at this time it looks like Michael J. Fox had like rosacea, or his cheeks were like really sort of almost like rosacea of the cheeks, where you get sort of like the ruddy cheek. You get
Sure.
a red,
Hmm.
and there are certain angles where it's like, wow, I know he's 22 years old, but did he have a skin condition where his cheeks were just really red? He just looks like he's wearing makeup. Like, I don't know, he looks like a clown to me at times.
Ah.
I was going to say the opposite. What you
That he
came
looks
to the
pale?
point. No, just that he was probably so young. Like, there was a time when I was in a bunch of plays at the CLO in Pittsburgh, and they were like, "You don't even need makeup. Your skin is so good. You're
Yeah.
12 years old, and
So you would
you
think
just
that they don't even have makeup on Michael J. Fox, he's so young.
exactly." I feel like they were like, "Oh, you are just a baby-faced little cherub. You can do whatever you want."
You look
and,
great.
But because at times he looks clammy. He looks like he's not wearing makeup.
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
he sure knows how to lecture Mallory in this scene.
No.
He gets
Man,
very
does he
parental
lecture.
with her. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And all of it sounded kind of good. It felt like very, big brotherly. But then we get to a line right before. I'm good. I'm getting ahead of myself. So they're talking, and Eric Morris comes over with flowers for Mallory.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which he
And
very
he comes
nicely
in
tosses
and
right into a garbage can.
right to kind of make a point, and basically, and Alex makes a big scene. She doesn't want your flowers. She tosses them into the garbage can. And again, horrible acting. Could you please give me the flowers back? Because I have another 2 stops to make. What did he do that night?
Yeah, yeah.
He is such a slut.
He is such a slut.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
so,
yet, Alex continues to treat Mallory as if she has some sort of track record of being easy or being a slut or making bad decisions or
Right.
not being very bright, which I think really is the whole point, where he was characterizing her in a way that's totally off base.
Yes, especially in the way
Yeah.
that she's been portrayed in the past 2 episodes at this point.
Absolutely.
right.
And so, I mean,
And
that's
she
just...
kind of gives it back to him a little bit. Yeah, she's
No,
like,
no, no,
look,
but I
nothing
mean,
happened that
yeah.
I didn't want to have happen.
He's making assumptions of her based on what he assumes her being a young woman or a young girl, that she is not in charge of her own faculties or her own body,
Mhm.
or when she immediately says, he didn't do anything that I didn't want him to do, which is such an interesting way of putting it forward. And I mean, that's the sort of arguments people are having, like this past summer and stuff like that, about date rape and blah blah blah. That I was like really shocked at how progressive and feminist, what the things that she was saying, and his arguments were so silly that they didn't even merit bringing up.
But as it turns out, do you think that she and Eric even made out?
No, I think that they probably started to kiss or something. He started to get handsy. Oh, so okay,
That's what my guess is too, that he immediately went too far.
Yeah.
He put an end to it, and then it became her fending him off.
Exactly. For the rest of whatever the evening transpired. Right. It was definitely
Take me home. Go ahead, take me home.
Right, and he kept trying and trying, and that's the thing, is that in this dialogue back and forth that we're finding out, in this dialogue between Eric and Mallory, what transpired the night before, and it's kind of, it was probably some almost date rape.
Yes!
He very much was forcing himself upon her, and she was able to, luckily for her as a character, fend him off, but it's played very much kind of for laughs, or at least just not with the seriousness that one would expect.
It's really casual.
If you called it date rape, you would expect it to be slightly more serious. In this case, she's just sort of fending off a guy who's trying to feel her up.
Right.
And I mean, and it kind of makes it feel like, oh, well, it's okay because he got bruises from her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oh yeah, he got it worse. Don't worry about him.
She handled herself very well, apparently, and it really gave, I think, the character of Mallory a very strong foundation for them to take off with her.
Right.
Of course, then they dumbed her down, 8 episodes later, but for the time being, she's a very strong woman, very much her mother's daughter.
Yeah. I never even thought of it that way, but that's a really good point.
Yeah, very much so.
And then the parents come home, and they were pretending to not have been doing anything because they really hadn't.
Haven't done it. Well, they did a lot, we just never saw it.
Mm-hmm. And that's it, right? Isn't that the episode?
That's it. It ends sort of abruptly.
Pretty much it. Yeah,
My other
really
question
abruptly
was, does Mallory have a slight, it's cute, speech impediment?
I don't know. I wasn't listening.
I think she has a slight little lisp.
That's what I think. She has a very slight. It's
a
very
little S's,
cute.
yeah.
It's on her S's, but she's got a very slight lisp, almost sounding like she has a retainer in her mouth.
I was just going to ask, do you think that's what it was?
I do. I actually do think it's a retainer that she had in her mouth, because it just sounds like a tiny little speech impediment, and I'm curious as we go forward in the series whether it works itself out, whether it's something that she either got help with or the retainer comes out.
Right.
But there was so much of her in this episode. I felt as though they were really, and this was before the edict came down to beef up Alex P. Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
They were really treating Mallory and Alex like they were equals, which didn't go on much longer.
No.
Right.
No,
and I'll say this about the Alex portrayal in this episode. I was really not a fan. I thought that that the character totally changed from the previous episode.
Really annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yet was the one responsible for this awesome party.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that his parents go out of town and Alex is the guy who wants to invite all of these people who supposedly like him or don't like him to come over. It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, we have to make that point clear too, is that during the party, no one acts like they know each other. No one seems to, no one really stands out. There's one brunette girl who hits on Alex for a half a second, and then there's Eric Morrison, and then there's extras in the background. But we never learn, are these also teenagers? Because you can't even tell.
Are they friends from high school? Are they friends from the neighborhood? We don't even know.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to tell Alex's social status, too. In the first episode, he's really trying to get with this girl. It feels like she's not interested in him. And then in this one, he's supposed to be the guy that has this awesome party going on. So I was really confused of his social status.
He kind of comes off as a loser. That
a little bit.
In high school don't think he becomes like Paul Ryan. At home, Paul Ryan is a kid, but in high school, everyone's like, "Oh, it's that fucking Ayn Rand kid." Guys, I worked at McDonald's, but that's not where I'm going to stay for the rest of my life.
Here's a copy of Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah, changed my life.
Changed my life. Did we just make Paul Ryan sound like a Valley girl?
We did. And I almost had to be reminded who Paul Ryan was. I forgot
he wishes he was Alex Keaton.
He does. Well, guys, I think that's another episode down.
Yeah.
Yeah, we covered everything. So for questions and comments, you can email us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at QTWFT for updates. And you can also follow each of us on Twitter. I'm at Follow Jones.
At Paul, you're
Packler.
And I'm at Corpep.
Right. And also like our page on Facebook and rate our show on iTunes and tell your friends and family. We'd like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanboy Comics. Fanboy Comics is an online conglomerate of geek media providing its readers with daily reviews, interviews, and podcasts that span the pop culture spectrum. And you can check them out at www.fanboycomics.net. We also like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs Family Ties theme song Without Us. Check out Perry's website at www.perryadams.com. And if you're in New York on March 8th, see her perform at Arlene's Grocery at 7 p.m. And we also like to thank Bryant Dillon, who created our fantastic logo and artwork. Brian is the president and co-founder of Fanboy Comics, and follow him at Comic Book Slayer. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.